Once you've looked at your writing for purposes of clarity and made sure that all of your sentences are as clear as possible, especially in academic writing, your next step should be to look at the tone of the writing. In academic writing, the tone should be formal, or at least not informal, impersonal, or at least not personal, and precise. In other words, you should avoid any kind of informal language, slang, abbreviations, etc. You should avoid personality. Don't talk about yourself. Don't use first or second person pronouns. In other words, no I, me, you, or your. And don't use vague phrasing, words like stuff or things. Try to be as precise as possible when referring to ideas in academic writing. What you want to avoid are sentences that look like these. Why are schools so screwed up? Well, in my opinion, the biggest problem is that the kids won't get off their lazy butts and do what they need to do. Now, there are several issues here that you should be able to notice are inappropriate for academic writing. Phrases like screwed up and lazy butts are obviously a little informal for academic writing. Even a word like kids, which would be not nearly as effective as children in academic writing. A phrase like in my opinion, which is personal, which is about you now, not about the schools. And the reader doesn't need to know that this is your opinion. Focus on the issues that you're writing about, the schools in this case. Even a word like well, which is conversational in tone, to start a sentence anyway, and should generally be avoided. And then finally, this last phrase in the sentence, do what they need to do, is very vague and imprecise. What is it that students need to do? Don't just say they need to do more of it, explain what it is. Better would be something like this. Why is the education system facing these problems? Perhaps the most important factor is student apathy. Now, obviously, you can hear that this writing sounds more formal, more academic than the original example. But I want you to notice that it's not excessively formal or excessively, fancy in tone. There are no big words here. Apathy might be a word you don't use that often, but it's precise in this case. But notice that a phrase like perhaps, or a word like perhaps, can replace a phrase like in my opinion. In my opinion is sort of a hedge, saying this is just one possibility. Well, perhaps does the same thing, but it avoids personality. It's a little more formal in tone, and as a result, it makes the writing simply sound more academic. In academic writing specifically, all writing has tone, but in academic writing, tone is especially important because it has to do with the credibility that your audience is going to grant you. So make sure your writing is formal, precise, and